I'm Malcolm Bird, and this is a brief update on the 8 Weeks to Uni project, which is a series of very short online modules delivered to students after they're enrolled and before they actually start university. It is designed to assist in their transition to university, and the modules include academic writing, critical thinking, orientation, and even time management, just to mention a few. The entire course is designed to enhance the student experience, and it's also about student retention. The reason this project is delivered before the students get to university is many of the students that I've spoken to report at orientation they're just drowned with information. They take quite a while to settle in and get started, and yet they're still expected to turn in assessments as soon as 4 weeks after they start. It's also an ethics-approved research project where I'm going around multiple regional and metro campuses asking students about their transition to university, which parts they found useful, which parts were tricky, and if they could go back in time, what advice they'd give themselves, knowing what they know now. The reason I'm interviewing students is twofold. One, because some of the research I've looked at shows that students respond well to other students talking about their experiences, and also because the student voice, what they're actually saying is difficult, and what they want my help with will drive the content for this project. So I'm aiming for about 100 students in total, and some of the students have allowed me, on top of the audio recordings, to do video recordings of some of the more pertinent responses. But what's coming through, even with the project only about half finished in terms of interviews, what's coming through very clearly is students love the ALC and the library and the CLC. And the universal issues are critical thinking, academic writing, of course, in relation to their assignments, and time management. I'm hearing a lot of time management issues. We're looking at a test of the program being launched later on this year with a subset of some of the modules and a small group of students, with a view to launching the full program in Term 1 2020. But I thought I'd end with some of the most interesting comments from students that I've interviewed so far. Thank you.
Yeah, if I could go back in time and give myself advice for when I started uni, the main piece of advice would be not to use big fancy words for my essays. So instead of going onto Google and looking at synonyms, I would simply just formulate an argument based on the meanings of words that I know, and that way I can produce better essays earlier on in my tertiary education.
How to write it, how to reference, what on earth was referencing. I was completely at sea with it all. I had no idea what was going on. So sort of having a little bit of help prior to starting university in that field would have been beneficial for me.
It was very challenging to manage all the assignments and the studies, but you can, because I have become a very new person and very independent from what I was before and what I am now. If you have the will, you will completely become a new person.
When I went to orientation, I was very overwhelmed and a little bit confused, and I didn't ask any questions. But if I could go back in time, I would ask those questions. I was very nervous that day, and I just didn't want to sound stupid. I think everyone felt that way.
Yeah, I believe the time management was the most important for me, and I believe that any good advice I can give anyone is buy a diary.
It would have been great to get some help with time management, as it was very stressful for me. I just never had enough time. I was worried about when my assignments were due, deadlines, and I was finishing my assignments about an hour or so before they're due, which was very stressful and not so good.
As an international student coming here, I had to get myself in the right space because I knew that I'm out of my comfort zone. It's a new place for me, it's new friends, it's a new challenge. It's a new educational system for me. So that way I had to just really be mentally prepared. It really helped me, and that's what I would say, get your head prepared. Your future self will thank you.
When I moved to here, I felt like I knew very well how to swim in a swimming pool, which was back home. But then here I had to learn how to swim in an ocean. It's a totally different environment, and it's got waves and waves of unexpected things happening to me in here. And I had to learn how to swim and keep my head out of water to breathe. And after a while, I got to know how to swim in the ocean, which was really fun and exciting. And that was the new way of living for me in here.
Okay, so the academic writing in particular was something that I've struggled with throughout the first half of my university. And as an Indigenous woman, identify as Aboriginal and South Sea Islander. It was important to me to, well, I wanted to keep my voice as a cultural woman and my cultural perspective in the papers that I was writing and in the knowledge and practice that I was undertaking. It was challenging for me how to adapt that into academic writing, though with good support through the uni, being available to tutoring, I was able to still keep my voice and have my cultural perspectives put into my academic writing.